I'm sure this is not popular to admit, but I have made mistakes as a virtual assistant. So I've learned from those mistakes and I want you to not do what I did. So that is why I'm sharing this today. The first mistake I made was not doing my bookkeeping correctly. This is one of those things that I just didn't know I didn't know. I knew I was supposed to file taxes and pay quarterly taxes as a business owner, but I didn't understand bookkeeping. I didn't realize I was supposed to categorize my expenses. So when I went to go file my taxes, it was like, how much did you spend in this category, And I had to go back and calculate all that up because I didn't know. Thankfully, it was pretty easy my first year to do that. I was doing my own bookkeeping. I still do my own bookkeeping, but I learned very quickly after that, you should categorize all of your expenses because it will just make it so much easier when tax season rolls around. The second mistake I've made is not paying my quarterly taxes on time. And I did pay my quarterly taxes, but I would do it like a few days late or a few weeks late. I had it in my calendar, but I wasn't really looking at that calendar. So I just kept missing the deadline or I would just put it off. And so I did owe a little bit of a penalty at the end of the tax season when I had to file my taxes. I also did not pay my state quarterly taxes at all. So I owed a pretty big fine with my state taxes because I didn't realize I was supposed to do those quarterly as well. I only knew about federal taxes. So it turns out that some people in some states have to file quarterly taxes as well. And you should also check the county that you live in if you have to file county taxes. Thankfully, I don't have to do that, but there are some virtual assistants who live in a county where they do have to file those. And if you don't file them, then you will owe like a lot more than you think. So I learned that very quickly on. And now I am paying quarterly taxes with my state because I do not want to pay that fine and I don't want to be surprised with a huge tax bill. The next mistake I've made is not being upfront about money during discovery calls. And because of this, I've wasted my time and other people's time because I didn't realize like they couldn't afford me and we were talking and having conversations and then the instant you would say what your rate is, then they're like, oh, I can't pay that. Or, I had another experience where I was applying for a job with an agency and they were not upfront with me about money and I'd never asked during the call. And so they offered me the position and it was way less than my rate. So I had to turn them down. And it was a good experience, I guess, but ultimately it's a waste of time if you're talking with someone who cannot afford your services, or maybe you're applying to a job and their rate is way less than you want to get paid. So now I always am upfront about money, like during the discovery call and before the discovery call, giving them a pricing guide, telling them like, this is how much my rate is. Because if it's too expensive, then I don't want to waste their time or my time when I could be looking for clients that can afford that rate. The fourth mistake I've made is not following up with clients who have ghosted me. Now, ghosting does not just happen in the dating world, it does happen in the business world too. A lot of the time it has been when I have a discovery call with a client and maybe they decide that they don't want to work with me because maybe my rate is too high, or maybe, I don't know, they're just not in a position. I've had somebody who was scared of signing a contract. Even though I knew them, they were scared of signing a contract, and so we never moved forward. What I should have done, and now I realize it's a lot better business sense, is having people on an email list and keeping in touch with them. Now, I feel like this is a little bit counterintuitive to what I was just saying about not wasting people's time, about having where you're not upfront about your rates. But I still think like if people reach out to you, even if they can't afford you, keep them on your list, because one day they might need somebody like you, and because you've been having a relationship with them, maybe you're sending a monthly newsletter to all the people on your email list, like potential clients, people who are just interested, people who can't afford you, but maybe they reached out to you and then you sent the pricing guide and they decided not to go forward. Keep them on your list. I know. We're just gonna have to go with the sound effects. I'm sorry, this is the only time I can film this video. You really should keep them on your list though, and just continue to build that relationship, because just because someone can't work with you now doesn't mean it's never. And the fifth, and probably honestly one of the worst things I've done, is not writing down every single task as a virtual assistant. I realized that you need to write down absolutely everything. There is a reason why people like pay for these CRM services where they or like these project management services where they have all their tasks out. Now, I've tried that before and it doesn't really work that well for me, but I have made the mistake of not writing every single thing down, and that includes subtasks. So when you are given a task as a virtual assistant, there are often a lot of little subtasks, and some clients are going to be super easy with tasks, and it's like the same thing every single week, every single month, and it's pretty easy to track. But some clients, they're going to have so many moving parts. There's going to be things all over the place, and you have to have a system as well that is going to work for you, not just what you hear other people doing. You want it to work for you, and you have to make it consistent. So don't write things on email and then also on your Google task and then also on your calendar and then also on your planner. Try to keep everything as organized and as simple in one place as possible. It will make your task management and project management so much easier, and it makes sure that you don't miss tasks. Basically, just be super organized. You know, you got to be like really organized, because you're also organizing someone else's business who is probably not organized. You know what I mean? So you got to be like doubly organized. Is that a word? Yes, I'm saying it is. That's all for today. See you guys next video. I hope you enjoyed all of the sound effects from my son lying on his mat in front of me. Bye.